So I would say the alternate C is kind of like the word Schwarzwälder. It's something that you probably don't want to learn within the first week or month of learning German. Neal Battaglia, saxstation.com. In the beginning saxophone players group that I run on Facebook, a question came up about the alternate C fingering. So basically the short answer is you play it like a B, but with the middle side key over here. So the lowest one is for a B flat, the one right above that is for the alternate C. This is a soprano saxophone, but the layout of the keys is basically the same for all saxophones. There are a few small variations. So you can play a C the regular way, you can play a C that way. I would say that a C the regular way is going to tend to sound a little bit better. You don't tend to use the alternate fingering that much, but in some situations it is more useful. Basically between B and C, there can be some schmutz. You can get an extra note in between that doesn't sound good. And also sometimes alternating between them is going to be difficult in a fast passage. So if you move one finger rather than two fingers, there's less room for error. So potentially you do want to use it once in a while. It can be useful. Another way that you can play a middle C is by playing the low C fingering and either using the octave key or just getting the overtone. You probably want to just press the octave key though. Here's what that sounds like. For the context of who asked the question though, it's someone who had just started playing. I would say that the first week, maybe the first month of playing the saxophone, you shouldn't worry about the alternate C key. Focus on the mid-range, getting the different notes, kind of work your way up, work your way down. Work through a class. I wrote a beginning class called Saxophone Foundations that you can check out if you're interested. But basically, it can be useful, but it's not something you tend to use very often. I very rarely use it. There are situations where it's useful, certain passages, certain classical pieces. It makes things quite a bit easier. But in general, when you want to play this note, just use the regular fingering. It's going to give you the best sound, and it's probably the best option. An analogy that I came up with actually has to do with a word. So sometimes we say music is like a language. Like I say that, a few people say that. The language that I speak English the best, I speak Spanish pretty well, I speak German okay, and I have kind of a low level of Mandarin Chinese. In German, there's a word, Schwarzwälder. Schwarz means black, Wald is forest, and if you add the ER to the end, it means from there. So it's from the black forest. So basically, it's a word that would be useful sometimes. Maybe if you live nearby the black forest, you would say it fairly often. If you don't live nearby it, you'd probably only use it in reference to the Black Forest and things from the Black Forest. It's like the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. Kirschtorte is also a word that is pretty specific. It describes a cherry cake. So if you want to talk about specifically a cherry cake, you use that word. Otherwise, you don't tend to use that word a lot. So I would say the alternate C is kind of like the word Schwarzwälder. It's something that you probably don't want to learn within the first week or month of learning German, maybe even the first year, depending on whether it is useful or not. So think about how useful things are for you when you're learning them, in general I would say, and on the saxophone. I hope this video is helpful. If you want to know the alternate C key, if it is useful for you right now I think you know how to play it. If you have any questions about what I said, go ahead and leave them as a comment. If you'd like to check out the beginning saxophone players group, there's a link to that. Just go there and answer the questions. You can be part of that. You can get some feedback, talk to some other people, ask some questions. I have a beginning saxophone class called Saxophone Foundations, which is available on saxstation.com. And I also have some other classes and lessons available. So check that out and let me know what you think of this video. Thanks for stopping by.